this is John Colo with okraw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, we're going to answer your guys' questions. I try to do Q&As on this channel once a month. I don't normally get a lot of questions actually submitted to me on my channel. If you have a question for me, you can submit it in the link down below in the description. It basically goes to my YouTube community tab on YouTube, where you can leave a comment for an upcoming Q&A. I apologize, I have over 1 million followers on all my different social media outlets, and I'm not able to answer any questions directly. I do have a garden coaching that I do give for just $5 plus service fee. You can talk to me for 10 minutes anywhere in the United States. I'll give you a call. I will talk to you about gardening or anything else, and a link for that now is exactly down below. I don't know everything, but I do know a lot through my past experiences and my past learning. All right, so let's get into this episode. This is first questions from Nikki Ollie. I've heard lately that tomatoes cause inflammation within the body. Is this true? Should we not eat tomatoes then? What are your thoughts on that? So Nikki, so it is said that tomatoes and other foods, nightshades, may have compounds that may cause inflammation. I personally don't feel any inflammation from tomatoes, but once again, like a food allergy, right? You could be allergic to anything. Maybe you have friends that are allergic to grass. If they go outside and roll in the grass, they're going to be sneezing. They might get hives or itchy, right? And other people aren't. I don't think that the lectins necessarily causes inflammation. I think my personal opinion is that inflammation is caused by, more likely a disorder in your gut, like dysbiosis or leaky gut, if you want to call it that, and not having a good microbiome. I mean, there are properties in tomatoes that are shown to be anti-inflammatory versus inflammatory, but the problem is I think most people have not been eating the proper diet. This is the whole discussion unto itself. I will continue to eat tomatoes and other nightshade vegetables, in the proper quantities, and that doesn't mean you should eat tomatoes all day and get the free pass, right? I encourage you guys to vary your diet. Unless you're really tuned into your body, you're not going to know what agrees with you and what doesn't, and that's the other thing. Listen to your body. If you eat tomatoes and you don't feel good after it, maybe you should find something else to eat, right? I surely wouldn't eat tomatoes, and actually I favor peppers over tomatoes. I'd much rather eat peppers instead of tomatoes. To me, I love the flavor of peppers a lot more. Although I do eat tomatoes, but I don't eat them every day. I might eat them once or twice, maybe 3 times if they're lucky, a week. They get my attention and me eating them. Next question is from J-Dan Braithwaite. Can you make a video on more about biophotons and how they make you feel? That is a good question. So I'm waiting for the biophoton meter. I heard that they're going to come out with a biophoton meter from Germany. For those of you guys that are not familiar, biophotons, also called maybe chi, prana, or life force, and it is the energy that they've maybe determined through Kirlian photography. Like, it shows like energy radiating out. It's kind of like if you look at the sun, you always see like the little waves around the sun, like that's like the energy, right? Plants and things that are alive have this biophotons, or this this energy about them, and that's why I love eating biophoton rich foods. I have a video with Kailash down at the Ann Wigmore. It says, and the title is, don't just eat raw food, eat living foods, because living foods has more biophotons, it has more life force to give you their energy, which is a frequency basically, and we need to have these foods inside us. It's crazy that most people live on a whole, diet that's based around cooked foods that have minimal biophotons. This is not an area studied a lot in the United States, unfortunately. We have to leave this to other companies like Germany that I look up to, because they're kind of like, think a little more on some levels advanced. But yeah, so when I eat biophoton foods, like, foods from my garden fresh, right? It just feels amazing. It's like I feel that I need to eat less food to get the same energy and satisfaction. Of course, you guys will each be on your own journey, and that being said, I do encourage you guys to eat as many biophoton rich foods as possible. One of the most biophoton rich foods is sprouts. I grew sprouts about a week ago. It took 5 days to grow from seed to harvest, and had a salad of basically sprouts, like mostly a broccoli mixed sprouts with avocado, some shiitake mushrooms, and some coconut aminos, and some avocado. It was amazing. But yeah, and then otherwise, you know, grow your own food and pick it right before you're going to eat it. And the other thing you guys can do is, of course, fresh food will always have more biophotons than foods that are packaged. But of course, if you buy the foods, try to buy them as fresh and as recently picked as possible. For example, some apples that you might be buying now could still be harvested from last year and been in cold storage for an entire year before you're eating them. So yes, I encourage everybody to eat more biophotons and biophoton-rich foods. Next question is from Oth. Dear John, where have you been shopping or going specifically to obtain high volumes of quality fresh produce, fruits and vegetables during this pandemic lockdown? As I'm guessing you had to been denied going to LA wholesale terminal due to travel restrictions. Also, what have you been doing to obtain excellent plant starts, since I am guessing you also have not been able to go to CPG Nursery? I want to know what new habits you had to adopt and how you modified your life to just ensure that you could still procure fresh produce and grow high quality plants during this pandemic. It's always a pleasure watching your food haul videos as they are wonderfully informative and full of excellent tips. Cheers. All right, that's an excellent question. I'm glad to share. So I was not denied traveling to LA. I could travel there if I choose to. Although they are in different cities or in lockdowns, I could still travel between states without any issue. But the issue is I would be potentially putting myself at more risk because I'll be in contact with more people going to the produce terminal that, you know, that's a whole different discussion topic that we're not going to get into. So I could have went if I wanted to. I chose not to go. Now, I miss it immensely. I miss it immensely. And yeah, I mean, I'm just going to say I miss it immensely because when I go to the Los Angeles, I could go to really good farmers markets and get produce that I can't source anywhere else at farmers markets, and then get really good produce, or fairly good produce, especially at really economical prices at the produce terminal, and actually get a wider variety of things that I would normally find locally where I live. Now, since I haven't been able to go there, I think I maybe visited one farmers market in town. That they suck, basically, so I don't even bother wasting my time or risking exposure, potential exposure, although I do wear a mask. What I have been doing is basically just doing shopping haul trips. So I've expanded my reach of different stores I go to, because basically all the stores in my city basically go to the LA produce terminal, you know, to buy the produce. Maybe not to the extent that I do, and they don't get the varieties, but some of the stores are actually quite impressive to get, you know, wider varieties of produce. The main thing I do to be cost economical on the pandemic is I shop around, you know. I'll like do a shopping day, and I usually go out early in the morning or late at night when there's like less traffic in the stores, so I don't have to like, you know, stand in line and deal with all these things. And I go to multiple stores. So my main stores I've been going to buy organic produce specifically are Whole Foods, Sprouts, Natural Grocers. Of all those three, I prefer Sprouts the most, and then I prefer Natural Grocers second, and then I prefer Whole Foods. I've also been filling in at Trader Joe's with a few items, although not many. I usually get my wild blueberries at Trader Joe's. And then I also have been going to other stores that sell, you know, mostly conventional produce, although sometimes they have organic if you get lucky. So I've also been shopping locally at 99 Only, which is probably my #1 favorite non-organic store that has organics a lot of the time. Actually, last week they had organic pineapples for $1.99 each. They had organic honeydew melons for $1.99 each. What else did they have? Oh, they had, let's see, they had non-organic artichokes that I get sometimes for $1. They have hothouse grown tomatoes for $1. They had 3 for $2 organic hothouse grown cucumbers. And a while back, actually, I got some organic turmeric, the same ones they sell at Costco for like $5.99 for $1.99. But that was like, they only had that once. And I bought them all, about like 14 packages that I just ran out of 2 weeks ago. And now Costco seems to, you know, have not restocked their turmeric because it probably wasn't a good seller, which really sucks. So I'm back to buying it at Whole Foods for $15 a pound. In addition, aside from that, 99 Only, which is cool because I could fill in and just I'll bulk up on a lot of stuff. Oh, they had those cool persimmons I bought. The Honey's persimmons, 2 pounds for $2, which is actually a really cool, rare, and actually quite sweet for being store-bought type. In addition, I've also been expanding my reach of Asian markets and Mexican markets, and even went to a new Laos Asian market to see if they have any better produce than I've been getting, and they'd had the durian, so I was able to find the fresh durian, which really wasn't good, and I'm not going to waste my money again. But other than that, they didn't really have anything. But I've been going to all the different various, you know, Asian and ethnic markets in town. So the SF supermarket, they have two of them. I've been going there. I go to the 99 Ranch or Ranch 99 market, you know, to fill in there. I usually get my ginseng from there. They have a 168 market there. You know, in all these markets, I might only get one thing or I might get nothing, but it's really cool to see the varieties that you can source and get locally, right? And so that's how I've been filling in, and I just buy like the good deals, like the Ranch 99 had like those yellow kiwis organic that I got a while back for $3.99 for like 1 pound, or $3.69 a pound, which is kind of expensive, but it allowed me to, you know, get a greater variety of foods in my diet. And actually that was quite an affordable price for what it is. I've also been getting, you know, been able to get jackfruit at the SF supermarket. In addition, I've also been going to the Mexican markets around town. So La Bonita, my favorite Mexican market. You know, during the pandemic, I found like, you know, 3 pounds for $1 organic red pears, which were amazing. You let them ripen up, and they ripen up fast, and they were actually quite sweet and good. You know, so hit and miss. You know, sometimes I'll find one organic item at their store. I think I found like organic strawberries for 99 cents, and I bought like, you know, 16 cases and stuff. They had them on sale. Oh, like a week ago, they had organic pineapples I bought for 89 cents. And it was like they had a whole display of pineapples on sale for 89 cents. And they had like 6 of them. So like one case or something came in organic for the same 89 cents. So I bought all the organic ones, and they weren't as ripe as I'd like. But they're 89 cents, and they're going to make some good juice, you know. I've also maybe included a few more non-organic items, you know, than I normally would, although I really don't like to do that. I'm trying to expand my variety of foods. I've been getting like purple sweet potatoes at Natural Grocers. Natural Grocers is probably the best natural food store in town because they have the widest selection of organic foods that I could find in the valley, you know. And they'll have like unique things. They'll have like purple Brussels sprouts and purple, you know, I don't know, all kinds of crazy purple asparagus and stuff, you know, which is really cool. Things that you're not going to find at a standard store. And they only have all organic in their produce section, which is impressive, although sometimes their prices can be high. Although sometimes, like, if the thing is kind of getting older, they'll mark the price down to make it lower, to move it out faster. So that's really what I go for there. I look for like, okay, what's the things I would buy that they have actually marked down a bit less, and then I'll just basically buy them out. So yeah, and then then the Mexican markets, La Bonita is my favorite. I've also gone to Carnitas, which actually I've been getting the sugarcane. I get the sugarcane stalks, like $2 each, which is, you know, maybe like on sale, which is a little bit more, because I think if I went to the terminal, they'd be like 17 bucks for 10, so I'm paying 30 cents more. But I'm buying them on sale, once again, at $2, which is 30 cents more. Plus, I get to pick them up myself instead of just get the whole bundle, which is nice. Otherwise, sugarcane stalks are like $2.99 each, and I'll buy those sometimes if I'm out, but I have a pretty good supply, and I actually got to juice another round of sugarcane really soon. Did a really good episode with my nephew, Nico. Put a link down below if I remember. Let's see here. Mariano's Market also. I mean, basically just I've been getting like some non-organic mangoes there. I mean, there's so many different. El Super is another one in town. You know, there's a lots of different ethnic markets, so I encourage you guys to reach out, and I shop the sales. The ads come out on Wednesday. Every Wednesday I'm reviewing the ads, seeing what the good deals are, and if there's like food that I would eat that's not organic, and then I go to the store, and then sometimes I get lucky and they actually have an organic item, you know, just because there's an influx in the market, and that's what they have me selling that day, and then I basically stock up or load up. I've also been getting cactus fruits, you know. Actually, the Mexican market actually had cactus fruits like 3 pounds for $1, which is like 33 cents a pound, which is actually quite good, because I think wholesale they're usually hovering around 50 cents, 25 to 50 cents a pound. So I mean, I've been pretty much able to maintain my diet, you know, at a very similar price. You know, I just got to do more legwork and shop around and go out a little bit more often. I try to go shopping like once a week as my goal, but sometimes I end up going twice a week. Oh, and I can't forget my favorite store locally to buy organic produce is Smart and Final. Oh my God, Smart and Final is amazing. You know, I started going there recently, you know, maybe during the pandemic actually, because I was like, oh, let's check out a new store. And actually they've really enhanced their organic section, and actually they had a produce reset in some of the stores. For those of you guys that know what that means, they basically redid all the displays, and actually they even brought in more organic food, which is quite amazing. So they have a wider selection, and some things, once again, I shop around and get this here and this there. Generally, Smart and Final is cheap for my organic beets that I juice in my root juice that I make. And they have them like a bunch of beets, which is like usually about 3 beets. I only buy them if they're big. And right now they're like $1.19 regular everyday low price. Sometimes they'll be like $1.49 normally, and sometimes they're a bit more. But I usually only buy them if they're like 2 pounds for the bunch or more, which basically makes my per cost pound to like 50 cents or 60 cents a pound. And in addition, Smart and Final is awesome because if something is becoming within 3 days, 2 days, or 3 days from the expiration date, they'll mark it down to half price. So now they're 2-pound bins of organic, like arugula or spring mix. They drop from like $8.50 to $4.25 for 2 pounds. So that's like $2, a little bit over $2 a pound for organic greens. Now most of the time they kind of suck because you got to pick out the bad leaves. And trust me, that's one of the things I hate the most in life, is picking out bad leaves from stupid spring mix or those baby mixes that have gone bad. So at these times I open up the box and just make sure, I look at the package and make sure there's like, I don't see any bad ones, otherwise I ain't buying it. Because especially this time of year, I also have plenty of greens in my garden. So yeah, so then the other thing is, how do I get good plant starts? Well, that has been a challenge. There's basically only one nursery in town that's worth any kind of beans, and it's Star Nursery. And Star Nursery, I mean, they get plant starts from 3 different places. They get it from Armstrong Growers Supply in like Southern California. They also get plants from a place out of Phoenix and also a place out of Utah. So they basically get these 3 nurseries. Those nurseries send Star Nursery plants, and then Star Nursery sells those plants to you guys as plant starts. So I would definitely say the place in Beaver, Utah, that sends down their plant starts, those are the crappiest plant starts. They come in mini 6s. They're quite unhealthy in my opinion, or not as healthy as they could be. They're in mostly peat, and the plants never really perform that well. The plants from Phoenix that come out of there, I think it's called Grow with Color, they are in a little bit bigger 6-packs that have a little bit more space, and actually those plants are a little bit healthier than the Beaver one. But then the best plants are the ones out of Southern California, Armstrong Growers, which is basically the wholesale division of Armstrong Nursery, which is around Southern California. And those plants are the best I could source at this time. That being said, I still prefer CPG a little bit, although I did get one. I had a friend drive from LA to Vegas to visit her boyfriend, Wendy, and she brought a flat of sugar snap peas because I wasn't able to get those locally. And actually I was not super happy with the quality of those. It seems like CPG changed their potting soil mix, their seed starting mix a little bit, and I didn't seem the plants did not seem to be as healthy in my personal opinion. And also I haven't been there. Plus I also know that CPG has been being sold out, you know, a lot, and they're having problems keeping up because the demand for gardening is so huge these days. So basically, the fact of the matter is I've been buying most of my plant starts at Star Nursery from the Armstrong Grower Supply, ACG or whatever it is. And then I've been planting those in, and they put them on half off, and luckily when they put them on half off, when I saw this, I went to every different Star Nursery around town, and I loaded up my car with over 200 plant starts in like one trip and brought them all back, and now I'm working on getting them into my garden, because now guess what? Star Nursery has 0 plant starts. So luckily I had pre-bought everything, which puts an incredible workload on me because I had, you know, 1.17 flats, which each flat has 36 plants that I need to get into the ground, and, you know, and then just work every day to empty one of my summer beds and put in my new bed. So, I mean, I'm not going to say my lifestyle is not work. It is a lot of work, especially when I'm making videos for you guys, trying to run my business, trying to, you know, make my food and everything. I am busy. That's why I can't answer your guys' questions, you know, just, you know, here and there, because I'm just busy. From the time I get up to the time I go to bed, I'm like just gardening, working, preparing food. I'm not like sitting around watching TV, except if it's like after I make my food, I'm watching TV to decompress from my day. So yeah, and then of course, I could get, nutrients and things shipped into me, which I have been experimenting with a few new nutrients in my garden, which is amazing. I got a couple new episodes coming up on my GYG channel on how I've been able to improve the quality of the food I grow, which is impressive, and as well as the flavor and taste and nutrition. So that's all been really good, and I could definitely say my garden this year is definitely rocking over every other winter or fall garden I've had in the past, because I've paid more attention to it because I'm not traveling twice a month. All right. All right. Next question is from, let's see, Janet Williams. Dear John, I live outside the United States and would really love to buy some juicing and blending appliances from you, especially since you're able to contact the company if anything goes wrong. Would you be willing to ship outside the U.S.? P.S. I live somewhere in the Caribbean. All right, Janet, I apologize. I only service the U.S. It is quite expensive and or difficult to ship with outside the U.S. and or get service outside the U.S. When I sell something in the U.S., it has a U.S.-based warranty. So if I should sell it to some other country, that country may not have a warranty, because the warranty would be handled by the distributor of that country for that exact product or brand. So that's where it is. So now if you live in the Caribbean on like an island like Puerto Rico or U.S. Virgin Islands, I can ship to you. Otherwise, you're going to have to, get some kind of freight forwarder to do that. I have done that in the past. It is a bit more challenging. I need some more authorization forms, but I am able to do that for you guys. But your warranty would still be a U.S.-based warranty. All right. Next question is from Alex. Hello, John. Thank you for sharing your wisdom about proper nutrition and healthy mindset. We are gradually following your guidance more and more, and it has made a tremendous positive change in our life. My question concerns gray hair. You have none. What is your secret? Do you take any specific supplements such as catalase to maintain your natural dark color? Thanks again. All right, Alex. Well, I have, all my hair, not going bald, and, it's mostly all brown. Almost, I got a few grays that you really can't see coming in here and there because I just tell like it is. But, here's the thing. There's all kinds of different, things out there. They say, faux tea is good for gray hair, but then there's, if you have too much of it, you could get an overdose and a liver toxicity. I grow faux tea in my garden. I eat the leaves, but normally the root is harvested. And here's the thing, I think that when we have cellular damage on the inside, right, then our cells don't proper functioning, and then instead of making the melanin to make your hair colored, they don't function properly. So the better question is, how can you prevent or reverse this once you have that? And my answer would simply be, I don't think it's one magical nutrient or another, although some may be helpful for these things. I think that getting proper minerals, they say a copper deficiency could cause gray hairs, but I would just say trace mineral deficiency. And trace minerals are not appearing in the foods today. That's why if you see, some 30-year-olds these days are getting gray hairs. And it's like, well, what are those 30-year-olds eating? Are they eating homegrown food that's grown with rock dust and sprayed with sea minerals? And are they eating seaweed on a regular basis, but not too much, so you don't get an overload of iodine, if you'd prefer to call it that? It's about having a balanced diet. Are you getting the phytonutrients, the plant nutrients, the lycopene, the zeaxanthin, the astaxanthin, all the different nutrients from the plant foods and algae that will allow your body to not degrade over time. I think the big thing that's happening in this day and age is that everybody's body is in survival mode. They're just worried about living today and maybe being able to reproduce, and they are giving up their future long-term health for just living in the moment, to complete their mating cycle so they could reproduce, because that's every creature's function. And, people are just eating hot dogs and hamburgers and they look fine. Some of them even look healthy because they're skinny, because maybe they have a fast metabolism or they got something else wrong with them. But on the inside, they are prematurely aging very quickly. So I think the one thing that could help people most is eating a healthy diet, and not just this thing or that thing. I do take enzymes every night, which may be helpful. I try to eat as much biogenic or biophoton rich foods as possible. I try to eat all the different trace minerals as possible. I eat a wide variety of foods, because every different food has a different nutrient that may affect your microbiome in a different way, and I don't even know. There's probably some connection between microbiome and gray hair as well. I have no idea, So that's what I'm going to say. Eat a nutrient dense diet that's going to promote longevity, promote less aging of your whole entire body, including your cells that create your hair, and I think, and get your trace minerals. I mean, that's my answer. That's what I've been doing. And then plus maybe I have good genes too. But, you know, I looked at my dad the other day. He's a white guy. You know, my mom's Asian. And my dad doesn't have a lot of grays. His hair is not all gray. He still has brown. So, I mean, maybe it's genes. I mean, it's a whole number of things. I can't say it's this or it's this. And I'm not the expert. Ask somebody who is. All right. Next question is Martin Molon. How do you consume raw sweet potatoes? All right. Raw sweet potatoes. So sweet potatoes, true sweet potatoes, you know, can be eaten raw, as well as sweet potato leaves. Now, they don't taste that good that raw because they are starchy. I would not encourage you to eat regular potatoes, you know, raw. And then there's like the sweet potatoes and the yams, which are totally different. Yams probably should also not be eaten raw. So for sweet potatoes, like, you could grate them up. I really don't like the chalky flavor of sweet potatoes. So what I do, the only sweet potatoes I eat raw actually are the purple sweet potatoes. And for those of you guys that watch me for a long time, you will know that the only ones I eat are purple. And why? Because I want the purple anthocyanins. It's the purple anthocyanins that, in my opinion, are really responsible for anti-aging and probably anti-gray hair also, you know, that most people simply do not get enough of. You know, it's been hard for me to source purple carrots during the pandemic, so it's a lot easier for me to source purple sweet potatoes. So I've been buying purple sweet potatoes so I can get more of a purple in my root juice. I normally would try to juice a big percentage of purple carrots, but I'm unable at this time. I get some, but not as many as I would, because in LA at the farmer's market I'll just buy 30 pounds or 40 pounds of purple carrots at once. And now I have to buy them in multicolored packs that might not have a lot of purple carrots at one time. So yes, I slow juice them to maximize the purple pigments in my juices so I can get their benefits. Plus also feed my microbiome additional soluble fibers that I would not get otherwise. I think feeding your microbiome and your beneficial bacteria a wide variety of foods is essential for health. All right, next question is from Scene Ford. All right, this is Scene Ford with a question for allrightokraw.com. LOL. Hey John, how can people live a healthy lifestyle in rural areas with few stores that have very little produce? Is there a mail order subscription type of option for fruit and veggies if there's no good stores near you? Ideally, homegrown quality and large enough quantity for juicing and supporting that ideal vegan lifestyle. Also, separate question. What do you think about the vegan keto diet? I wonder if the medicinal efficacy of the combination of the two might turn me into a superhuman. Thanks, dude. All right, Scene. So let's see. Living in a rural area with little produce. Man, that really sucks. So the good news is if you live in a rural area, you should be growing more food because land is probably cheap. You probably got some land if you live in a rural area. Grow as much food as possible and invest in infrastructure instead of investing in grocery stores that aren't selling the things you want. Put in a hoop house, put in a greenhouse, put in a hoop with, you know, covers on it. You could do a double layer, so you can have a double insulated hoop house. You could put a hoop house, a big one, and then have a smaller one on the inside. Grow your own food. That's number one. That way you could have a selection of wider varieties of foods if they are not supplying it for you. In addition, you could harvest it fresher, it could be healthier, and you could actually add the things into the soil that you're willing to add and foliar feeds into the plants so that they could have the most nutrition. That's my number one tip. Now still, you won't be able to get some of the variety, but you will be able to get some amazing variety, and especially in the rural areas, you want to grow storage crops, you know. I don't know, you know, you got to plant some apple trees. You can store apples and pears, you know, in a fridge, you know, for like months, right? No problem. You could grow cabbages and store those for months. I mean, it might be more limiting, but this is a more sustainable way to do it than finding that mail order place that'll ship you stuff at a great expense. And usually, I mean, I don't know, maybe you're living in a rural area and you're super rich to order stuff mail order, but mail order stuff could get quite expensive. That being said, you know, I wouldn't be mail ordering produce, but I would mail order things like dry grains and beans. If you're that kind of vegan, you know, I'm predominantly a raw vegan and eat very little grains and beans in my diet, although I do include some sometimes. But the majority of my food is fruits and vegetables because they're the healthiest foods in my opinion. And if you do choose to get the grains and the beans, try to get, you know, like the black rice or the wild rice or the purple rice that I had videos on, and try to get like things like the black beans instead of like the white beans. I actually got some black soybeans. I had to order them special from Eden Foods because I will be trying to ferment them into natto to make vitamin K2, which is an essential nutrient on any diet, and it can be very hard for vegans to get. And in addition, it also make the natto kinase. So yeah, that's what I'd say. I'd say grow your own. Oh, and then the other place is, just do the best you can locally. Maybe you have to drive a little bit further to get to a better store that has something, and just do the best you can. Our diet, our bodies are resilient. And the other thing is, if it's very important for you to eat healthier, then move somewhere else where you have better availability of produce. Luckily, I talked about it a little bit earlier in this episode that, just where I live in the city, there's so many different ethnic markets, and I'm able to basically get a very good range, including yellow dragon fruits and all these things, to include in my diet and my life so I could have a wider variety of foods that I eat. Now, the other thing I will recommend, and I don't know if they deliver near you, but you might want to look up a company called Azure Standard, A-Z-U-R-E, standard.com. I have ordered from them before. They ship to a lot of parts of the United States, and you can order things in bulk from them, like bulk grains and beans, which actually they got fairly good prices, and also, even fruits and vegetables that they'll basically ship to you like once a month, so you could basically stock up on some things and get actually some good organic stuff delivered to you. I'm not aware of any other service like them that operate. I'm not even sure they deliver to where you are, but you might want to check them out. That'd probably be my #1 go-to source because, you deliver free. They basically take this big 18-wheeler, load it up and send it to different parts of the country, and they make only select stops, and maybe you could be a select stop. If you order like $500 or more, they will actually make a special stop at your house, So that's really cool. I really love Azure Standard and what they're trying to do. Let's see here. So separate question, what do you think about the vegan keto diet? So, putting yourself in ketosis, I know it's a big thing for many people and all these things. People live on paleo diets and all these things. And, I've seen vegan keto, and I would prefer definitely a vegan keto diet over an animal-based keto style diet. And there are benefits to ketosis. There is. I'm not going to say there isn't. So, my goal is, depending on your situation, I think going into ketosis for a period of time can be beneficial, but I don't think anybody should necessarily live their life in ketosis. Surely we can do that, but I don't personally believe we're designed to do that for a long period of time. I could water fast because there's no food available and put myself into ketosis, which would probably have better effects because of not only the ketosis from the water fast, but also because I'm just not eating any food. My body doesn't have to worry about digestion. I'm not a big fan of eating, a high fat based diet, high percentage of calories and fat, because when you're doing that, it's going to reduce significantly the other healthier foods than fat you could eat. You could be vegan keto diet and eat tons of coconut oil, a jar a day, and have a little bit of greens or green juice, and but hey, how much more green juice could you drink if you didn't have the high level of fat that you did, So, that's my answer. Right now I'm on a vegetable-based diet. Actually, my diet has changed since the pandemic for many reasons. But, my first 3 things I eat a day are, turmeric, ginger, root juice with lemon and rosemary from my garden. I then have a green juice, which is kale from my garden these days, romaine, celery, and cucumber and romaine hearts. And then have a root juice with my carrots, purple carrots, beets, purple sweet potatoes, maybe some apples, lemon, lime, jicama, maybe some horseradish sometimes, maybe some gobo root, and then after that, then I start eating, which normally by that time it's like 4 or 5. So I'm pretty much only drinking water and then juicing, and then only eating at 4 and 5, and then I eat between 4 and 5, maybe. That's my lunch meal technically because I've only had juice, and then I eat a fruit meal if I even get to fit that in. Like yesterday, I missed my fruit meal and I went to bed. And so, I'm eating high vegetables, and in my vegetable meal at night, it's a soup, which video down below if you missed it, or a salad out of my garden, which I have very little nuts and seeds, but mostly the vegetables for their healing potential and power. All right. Let's see, next question is from Steve Hall. Hi John, is there anything that can be done with the pulp from pomegranates? I have 2 large pomegranate trees and I'm currently juicing them. There's a lot of pulp per fruit, and I'm wondering if there's anything I can do with the pulp. Thanks for your advice. All right, Steve, so I would recommend actually drying them and powdering them, and you can have a green powder, a pomegranate green powder. You know, that will be probably quite nutritious, you know, rich and full of fiber as well as some phytonutrients, although probably going to taste the best. All right, next question is from Kathleen McManus. Hi, John. You have come highly recommended as an expert in machines like juicers. I'm looking for an almond milk machine. I love gadgets and hate pushing my almond milk through a nut milk bag. Any advice would be appreciated. Thanks so much. All right, Kathleen, I probably hate pushing my nut milk through a nut milk bag as much as you, and that's why for the majority of my raw foods career, I have barely ever made nut milk. Such a pain in the butt. I'd rather just not do it. I mean, for me, for a long time, my raw food career, I would basically just take a young coconut, water and meat, blend it up, and that's my milk right there. Boom, simple and easy. No straining required, no nut milk bag to clean. Since that time, I've switched away from eating those young coconuts because they're from Thailand or Vietnam, and they've been dipped in thymabenzol, which is a fungicide, as well as sulfides, which I'm not a fan of. So I've been able to source locally, like the brown coconuts for like 99 cents, and then I'll actually make a coconut milk out of that. So I will use a blender, so I'll blend the coconut water with coconut meat, the mature meat, and then I'll run that through my VSJ843 juicer. Other juicers will do this as well. If I remember, post the link down below where I did a vertical juicer test comparing all the different vertical juicers on how they make almond milk, and you guys can learn how it exactly works. That's my preferred method right now. It gives you a nice, pretty much dry almond pulp, and it's pretty filtered. I run through a sieve as well, and you know that's quite sufficient for me. Then I get to clean a juicer. The VSJ takes me 3 minutes to clean, and my blender takes seconds, which is a lot easier than getting all the stupid fragments out of the nut milk bag. Okay. Now there are other machines out there like the Soya Bella, which is made by Trivest, which makes soy milk, but it'll also make nut milk. This is about the same as the almond cow. And to me, those style machines, you got to have a lot of water and a little bit of nuts. And so the nut milk is, yes, it's a nut milk, but it's really a watery nut milk, which on some levels is good because you don't want to have too much nut milk because you're increasing your fat percentage. Not that you're going to go into keto because you're increasing your fat percentage, but I don't want to have a high fat percentage. I want to keep my fat percentage to, you know, around, I don't know, 15%, 20% max, right? 10% I believe is too low, and below 10%, you know, I think that's way too low because we do need some essential fats in our diet. And in addition, most people make nut milks out of things like almonds, you know, which are very high in omega-6s, which is going to throw your omega-6 to 3 balance off, which is a whole different discussion. So the almond cows makes a really watery nut milk that I don't really just like as a taste. You know, it's like drinking non-fat milk to me. You know, the juicer makes a much more, you know, rich nut milk to me. But if you want the richest nut milk and get the most nutrients and the most bang for the buck, you want to get the Nutri-Milk. The Nutri-Milk basically turns your nuts into butter, and then you add water into it, and then it basically just combines the nut butter with the water and makes a nut milk that you could easily dispense and no filtering necessary. Now there are some parts to clean on it, but let's see, would I rather clean a Nutri-Milk or my juicer in a blender? Well, you know, each one has their pros and cons. I have videos comparing these. Remember, I'll post those down below for you guys. You guys could watch that. But, you know, I will say that, you know, I like the Nutri-Milk format more because you actually blend all the fiber with the nuts and there's very little pulp left over. So you're literally, because it fractionates it so fine and so, you know, fine, that gives you a finer quality nut milk that's more full-bodied. Now, some people, it'll be a rare day that maybe one person returned to Nutri-Milk because they didn't like it more thick. But I think most people, after they get used to it, like it. And actually, it's better because it has more fiber. You're getting more of the benefits out of those nuts than simply extracting just mostly the fat with some very limited nutrients by quote-unquote juicing them or straining them through a sieve cloth. And so that's my answer. You know, there's different options and it depends on your specific situation. You know, so in the end, I would sum it up, blender, vacuum blender, and slow juicer. So currently I'm using the BlendTech vacuum blender, not out for public consumption, although it will be out soon. And I'm using the VSJ to make my nut milks, or if that's for the thicker style nut milk than the almond cow, or the other method would be the Nutri-Milk, which makes a full-bodied nut milk. You're going to get a better value because actually your nut milk is going to be, you know, you're going to be using more of your almonds basically, unless you're wanting the almond flour or the almond, you know, flour or the nut flour that you're going to make after the process by drying it or using it for something else. For me, all that waste always just goes in my compost anyways, or gets fed to my dog. All right, next question is from Patrika Register. Hey John, how are you doing during this crazy time of the U.S.? Well, it's crazy times everywhere. I'm doing fine, you know. I mean, it's been a little bit challenging for me being locked down. Well, I'm not really locked down because I can travel. I choose not to travel, so let's put it that way. But it's a bit more challenging because I really like to socialize, you know, believe it or not, but I only do that when I want to. Like when I travel, I go out and visit farms and go to farmers markets and talk to people. And because I've been pretty much staying at home and maybe just going out shopping very minimal and not trying to like take other trips out, you know, it's been more challenging for me to do that because I haven't been socializing and I don't have a whole large circle of friends that I just call every day. You know, I have a really small, tight circle of friends that I call, you know, here and there. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's the social implication has been the biggest implication for me personally. My food sources, maybe, you know, I've tried to expand those a little bit. I answered that in the previous question. You know, so I'm actually quite impressed on how well I'm doing with food. I thought I'd be doing worse, but I have all these organic honeydew melons I got for 99 cents, you know, that I'm still trying to go through. And I got all these persimmons, and I'm doing good. I got all these berries, and like and all my juices, and I've actually been actually dialing in my diet, so like I'm even more refined now, cranking in more phytonutrients. I'll post a video down below how I basically eat a vegetable-based diet, which is basically through juicing. I have like, you know, basically 8 pounds of vegetables a day in a juice format before I even eat anything. All right, next question is from First Last. How much does it cost you to eat per week? So honestly, I've never figured it out. You know, I don't really care about all these numbers, you know. What I do care about is, you know, trying not to like spend $3 for a cucumber. You know, generally I have prices in my mind that I like to spend, you know, for, so like organic carrots I usually get for about 60 cents a pound, unless they're like the colored carrots, which are about $1 a pound. As I said, my beets usually run between like 50 cents to $1 per pound. My cucumbers I try to get for like no more than $1 per pound. You know, so it kind of just depends, you know, and I add all these things up and that's what feeds me. You know, if I did like you know, lately I got celery for 99 cents a head, which is pretty cheap. Normally it's 79 cents a pound. And when it's a head of celery, I think I got those where like usually celery heads could be like a 1 1/4 to 2 pounds. These ones were all a little bit over 1 1/2 pounds. My persimmons I've been eating lately are about $1 a pound. The jackfruit I get is 89 cents a pound. You know, so you could do the math. I eat about, I don't know, 13 pounds of vegetables and a couple pounds of fruit a day, and then some nuts and seeds mixed in. So I'm usually averaging about $1 a pound across the board. Although sometimes I'll buy like, you know, organic kiwis that are $4 a pound, but I don't really care. Or I'll buy a yellow dragon fruit. It was like $3 for one yellow dragon fruit. Or my cactus pears are like usually, you know, 33 cents to 50 cents a pound if I'm getting a good deal. Right now it's end of season, so they're now up to 99 cents a pound, which is still super cheap. My apples I buy that I usually use to juice are usually around, I usually try to only buy apples if they're like $1 a pound or less, unless they're a special apple, and I might pay up to $1.50 a pound, organic of course. And my pineapples I usually get around for, you know, I bought this last batch for 89 cents. Usually they're around $1 or $1.50 max. If they're more than $1.50, I'll just buy something organic because usually my pineapples are not organic. Although if I find organic pineapples for like $2, then I'll buy those. So, you know, it's all over the place. But in general, you know, I don't know, 20 bucks. Oh, that's per day. So per week times 20 bucks times 7. Let's see. Next question is from Yogi Aim. How do you get proteins in your diet? All right, so here's the thing. How do I get proteins in my diet? I don't eat any meat, all right? Where does the meat get its protein? How does the meat have protein? Well, the meat eats plants. Plants have the protein, right? Plants are amazing chemical factories. They create all these nutrients within inside them, phytochemicals and antioxidants, as well as amino acids. Amino acids in their complex form are proteins. So every animal got their nutrition from plants, whether they're land plants or, you know, plants from the ocean, such as phytoplankton, which I actually am starting to eat now, or algae, or things like seaweed. So I eat all those things. People think, oh, you gotta eat nuts for your protein or your beans. Well, yes, nuts and beans in general can, you know, have a higher percentage of protein per calorie than other foods, but greens and the bottom of the food chain, grass, what should be cows eating? Cows should be eating grass. Unfortunately, most cows are being stuffed full of GMO, corn and soy, and antibiotics and all these stupid things that plump them up really nice. And those, we've plumped those up, give those cows those proteins. Man, I eat some organic corn. I eat some very little organic soy, only when it's fermented. you know, but I eat green juice. You know, eat your greens for protein. Greens have more protein. The only thing more higher in protein than greens are like the algae, you know. So eat your greens, you know, eat as many greens as a cow would or an animal would to get its protein. And of course, unless the animal is eating another animal that didn't eat, that, you know, if the animal is a carnivorous animal, then it's eating an animal that ate plants to get its protein, so that animal is getting its protein secondhand. I want to get my proteins firsthand from plants. And all proteins contain plants. Some plants contain more protein, but I don't actually focus on protein. I focus on phytonutrients, because when you eat plants rich in phytonutrients and you eat enough of them, you will also get your protein. So, you know, there's this whole focus on protein, and so many people are eating way too much protein and not enough phytonutrients, and that is where the real problem lies with America today and places around the world that are industrializing. Next question is from Healing with Denise. What have you found is the best juicer to make a green juice? So it depends how you define best juicer, and it depends on what is your green juice. What is the exact recipe? You know, so for me, my best might be different than your best. You know, for a green juicer in general, and there are a few exceptions, I will always use a vertical juicer. The VSJ843 is a juicer I like to use for green juice. Works the best for me based on my specific recipe of green juice. I don't know what your recipe of green juice is. If your recipe of green juice is wheatgrass and kale, I wouldn't necessarily recommend the VSJ843. In general, I will say for green juices, you want a single horizontal auger style juicer, such as the Omega NC800 or the SoloStar 4. Link down below, if I remember, to the video where I compare those two, and you can find the nuances and the pros and cons. One will make more yield, but one's easier to use and clean. What's more important to you? I don't know. For me, it's like easier to use and clean. That's why I choose the NC800 by Omega. Horizontal auger juices are best for greens, you know, when you have high greens, but if you're also going to add in something like carrots, then I would go with the twin gear, because they will extract more nutrition out of the green juice, but they're also, you know, more difficult to clean. And reducing straight greens into twin gear, then it's going to foam too much. That I don't particularly care for, unless, you know, these are straight leafy greens. But if your greens include celery, then you could put some greens with celery, then that machine's going to work fine. I have a whole channel dedicated to this called Discount Juicers, or also called Raw Foods, youtube.com/rawfoods, where I have over 500, 600 videos comparing juicers, so you guys can see what is the best juicer for you. All right. Next question is Mike H. Do you exercise? Run it all. Olives? Question mark. All right. Do I exercise? Absolutely yes. From the time I get up, time I go to bed, I am moving my body. I mean, I'm sitting usually a little bit on the computer, a little bit working, editing videos and sending emails and all these things. But for the most of the day, I'm up off my feet, running here, running there, running to my garden, picking up leaves, picking figs, picking pomegranates, you know, harvesting kale, bending over. I'm doing things. Now, I don't go to gym and lift weights. Oh yeah, I'm a weightlifter. I think that sucks. I think that's for the birds. You know, I want to get functional exercise, things that I actually got to really do. I mean, I really got to bend down when I'm like reaching something in the garden. I got to lean over. I got to crouch. I got to, you know, probably do these squat things. I got to, like, you know, I bought like, I don't know, 45 bags of like worm castings that are like 30 pounds each. I had to hug those out of my car all the way around in my backyard and store those. You know, I'm like lifting boxes, you know, bought a case of like organic, you know, kumquats, or, you know, not kumquats, organic yellow kiwi fruits are like 35 pounds. I'm like lifting my luggage when I'm traveling, and I'm like, you know, I'm just getting like, I'm using clippers that are like increasing my grip strength. You know, this is how I get my exercise. Like, I mean, if you're working in the fields every day, you don't gotta go to the gym, in my personal opinion. And also, I would like to get out and go rock climbing one of these days and increase my grip strength. And yeah, so I mean, for not working out, not going to the gyms, you know, I'm like nice, fit, and in shape, in my opinion. Now, could I be fitter? Absolutely. Could I do more push-ups? Absolutely. Should I? Absolutely, when I have time. But it's like a little lower on my priority list than, you know, making sure I'm well fed, have the food I need, and I'd much rather get real world exercise in everything I do. All right. Oh, and then I run. I'm a sprinter, so if I'm like just walking to like the grocery store and I'm like it's cold, or I'm like just feeling in the mood, I'll just run, just sprint. But I'm not like a long distance runner. I know some people are into running and all that stuff. You know, I've never been a runner. You know, to me, I'd much rather use my time doing something else. Although running can be beneficial And I do like bicycle riding, and I do like rollerblading, you know, in terms of using that as a transportation source. So I'm actually going somewhere instead of just driving in circles to get exercise. But unfortunately in my city, it's kind of a little bit, you know, dangerous to to do biking as a transit, you know, because people just drive crazy. All right, olives. I think olives are amazing. Oh my God, I got some amazing olives. Actually, at the dollar store for 99 cents at like Sprouts. They used to sell them for like $9. They're the living fermented olives. Actually, I just seen them recently at the grocery outlet for $3.99. They're the living olives that are probiotic rich. They are not pasteurized like most olives on the shelf are. That being said, when I'm not able to get the good ones, I will also buy the pitted Kalamata olives that have no additives. Like a lot of olives will have, you know, sodium this, sodium that, and acetic acid and all these stupid things added in there. I get some Kalamata olives that are just basically vinegar and herbs and maybe some salt, naturally cured the old-fashioned way. Actually, I get those at the Costco Business Center in a big tub. They come in like the vinegar stuff, which I actually don't really like vinegar. So basically, I drain out all the vinegar stuff, fill it with reverse osmosis water, and just like put it under a vacuum. So I pull all the extra, you know, flavorings and salt out of the olives, and then I'll just pull the jar out, and then use the olives. So basically, I'm just eating olives with, you know, once again, it's the Kalamata olives, so they're purple, so they have the anthocyanins in there, as well as all the different beneficial fats that would be in olive oil, but I'm not having concentrated olive oil. I'm not a big fan of that because they're removing all the fiber, good percentage, and most all the polyphenols and all the different nutrients in the olive, and as well as I don't want the salt that are in the olives. Most olives are brined or cured in high salt, and too much salt is not a good thing, although we do need some sodium in our diet, which is a required nutrient. So you don't want to like cut out, well, anyways, you want to minimize your sodium consumption, because through plant foods, I mean, I drink at least a head of celery a day in my green juice, where I'm getting plenty of sodium. I think more important than the sodium is the potassium, because most people simply are not getting enough potassium to balance out their sodium. All right, we're down to the last question today. It's amazing. Kitty, you say vegetables are a nutritional powerhouse, but what about foods like salmon roe or grass-fed beef liver? Now, those are truly nutritional powerhouses. All right. So number one, I don't even know what salmon roe is, and I know what beef liver is actually. So, you know, I could say I will agree. I will agree to disagree. You know, you could call anything you want a nutritional powerhouse or superfood, and I guess it comes down to your definition. I'm fine with anybody having their own definition. It's just not my definition, right? So like for me, nutritional powerhouses, I mean, when I think of powerhouse, I think of what is going to lead me to my goal. And what is my goal? My goal is to spread the knowledge of what I've learned, to make a difference in the planet, more importantly, to raise a family, to have a farm where I could subsist and grow my own food for me and my family, live a comfortable life, and be more producers instead of consumers in our society, and have a nice, long, healthy life where I'm just going a full steam ahead, you know, as long as possible, okay? Based on what I've read in the research and what I believe and what I've been doing now for the last 25 years and only getting better in my journey. I haven't just stagnated and eat this diet and do this diet for the whole time. I've always been, you know, trying to improve what I'm doing, in my personal opinion. Some people might not agree with that, and that's fine. I accept, you know, I accept people aren't going to have different opinions than me, and people think I'm crazy or whatever, and whatever, you know, or different, you know. Being different is good, you know. We should celebrate diversity, not put anybody down for being different, no matter what their views are. But to me, nutritional powerhouses are things that are foods that are going to allow me to meet my goals, you know. And some of the most important nutrients out there are the pigments of foods and these phytochemicals that are produced by plants. Plants are chemical factories. Yes, in beef liver, the beef is eating plants, which then concentrates in its liver, and there are certain nutrients are increased in the beef liver, you know, and is stored, because it also stores some nutrients, you know. I feed beef liver to my dog, but I don't eat it myself. Actually, he gets freeze-dried liver. And it may be good for canines, but, you know, we're not a canine. I mean, I haven't looked at my teeth lately, but it doesn't look like my dog's teeth. But while, you know, you could think they're nutritional powerhouses, you know, I don't believe they have the nutrients that we need you know, I don't believe they have the nutrients I need to, you know, to do my goals. Maybe they have the nutrients for your goals, you know, but they don't meet the needs for my goal, because I really want phytonutrient plant foods, and that's why I have a huge garden in my backyard and I grow all my own phytonutrients. Basically, animals, whether they're salmon or, you know, animals are accumulators. They eat lots of greens or lots of plant foods, depending on if they're a farm salmon or a wild salmon. They concentrate that in their fat, in their organs, in their whatevers, and then you eat those. But the problem is, right, a lot of those foods they're eating, right, number one, they eat the food, it comes out as poop. So number one, a lot of the nutrients are being lost in their poop. The animal uses what it needs to survive and thrive, which is like the phytonutrients that, you know, oxidize and get lost fast, and then other nutrients are stored in its liver. So in my opinion, you know, you're getting a very small, limited quantity of the phytonutrients from the liver, because the animal's taking out what it needs for its bodily processes for it to survive and poops out the rest, and not much is stored for you to get later. And that's why I try to eat lower on the food chain. I eat phytoplankton, I eat algae, I eat, you know, the leafy greens, which are the lowest on the food chain, so that I can maximize the nutrients in me. Now, let's not talk about the other parts of why I don't believe, you know, liver and salmon, what is it, faux or roe, are powerhouses, because, you know, animals are also bioaccumulators. While they will bioaccumulate some of the phytonutrients that they store in those organs or those places inside them, you know, they also store the bad stuff in the environment, you know, especially salmon that are farmed out of the ocean. They got plastic in there. There are microplastics that you're eating when you're eating animal products. I'm sorry, right? When you're eating liver, even out of a, you know, grass-fed cow or whatever, you know, you are basically eating its lifetime accumulation of its toxins, you know, herbicides, pesticides, heavy metals, right? What do our livers do inside us? They are detoxifiers, right? When you take drugs, right, it goes to our liver to get detoxified. Yes, some of it is stored in the liver. My grandfather died of liver, you know, dysfunction because of alcohol poisoning. Basically, cirrhosis of the liver. His liver degraded. What if you're eating, you know, cow cirrhosis liver? They don't tell you it has cirrhosis, but they're just feeding it to you because they could sell it. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, the liver could store toxins. So, I mean, that really scares me personally. Doesn't deter you, you know, eat what you want. It definitely deters me. So, you know, in my reasoning, in my mind, it just doesn't make sense to eat animal liver if we are not meant to eat that. Now, of course, you know, carnivores that are meant to eat that, that's why I feed my dog animal liver, because it would, you know, it'd kill it. Well, that's a different discussion topic, but, you know, carnivorous animals would eat all the parts of the animal and leave the carcass of what it didn't want to eat. My personal belief is that people are designed as plant eaters primarily, although we can't subsist on anything. People subsist all the time on Oreos, vegan dyed cheese, as well as a lot of other processed garbage that I would not even dare put into my body at all. So that's pretty much it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, hey, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also, please be sure to share this video with somebody else that you guys could think it can help. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new and upcoming episodes that come out every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. Finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 500 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel dedicated to teach you guys how to eat plant-based raw foods diet rich in fruits and vegetables, which is one of the healthiest on earth in my personal opinion. So with that, my name is John Kohler with okraw.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best.